think you'd be surprised if we compared all of the Starks, like who is the best and who's the worst.
Yeah, you know, I mean, say it is a ranking, but we're kind of thinking of it in tier list style too, just to keep things straight. And I found myself like, dude, this is not how I would expect this list to go. But like, man, when you think about the Starks, you kind of think of them as the crown moral jewels of like the Game of Thrones universe, the House of Ice and Fire. But I don't know, man. It's not all positive. It's not all positive.
Yeah, there's a standard good guys, and also maybe the dumbest characters out of everybody within Game of Thrones. I think a lot of people agree with that.
They can be, for sure. I mean, not every single one of them. They're good and they're bad, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, let's get into this. You want to go like oldest to youngest? Is that how you want to do this? We haven't even revealed to each other what our rankings are or whatever, but I'm sure we'll have a decent amount of agreement.
Let's just get this one out of the way. Rickon, who cares? Like, is that an F?
Yeah, if we're going A, B, C, if we're going S, A, B, C, F, this is the one I figured I was going to have the most discrepancy with you on. I'm putting this guy in B tier, not F tier.
So he's just
I'm
like
putting him in
nothing?
B tier.
Like he's just a middle of the round or middle of the road guy?
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Hey, fuck that. Not B tier. I put him in A tier. I forgot we had S. He's going to A tier.
A tier?
He's going to A. He's in A tier. I know, yeah, strike me down. But the reason why I put him in A tier is because he hasn't really done anything wrong. And we're talking about book or show.
Right.
Not counting season 6 when he can't zigzag or whatever, you know, the meme. He's a little bitch in the show. In the books, he actually has potential still, and he was just a little 4-year-old kid, like very, very young. His one trait is that he cries at everything, basically, right? If I'm remembering correct. Everything that happens, he cries at. He barely has any lines, and he gets whisked off by Asha, right? That's all we know about him. He's a blank page in a book.
Yep.
So I think there's potential there. It's not negative. Dude, so many of these Starks have negative things. I can't wait to bitch about the Starks.
Okay,
I'm putting Rickon in A tier, dude.
I don't want to waste too much time on Rickon here, right? Because we have other ones to talk about. But
yeah.
You know, he has more potential. I agree with that. He's more of an open book, or his book isn't finished nearly as much as some of these other characters, especially with, you know, Bran for George R. R. Martin's vision is going to be sitting on the throne, I think, no matter what. With Rickon, maybe. I'm just worried that his relationship with his direwolf this young is just going to lead to some like furry like lifestyle that other Starks, because they're a little olderly developed, they're not having that attachment. So
I think he's indoctrinated, super young.
Yeah, I think my headcanon, he just has a too close relationship with his direwolf, which might lead to an unpleasant character in the future. But
if I think,
can we put him at B? Can we put him at? He's nothing. A is just too much for me.
Well, that's fine as long as he's not an F. That's fine. We can compromise with B. But I was gonna say, I don't know about the furry thing. Maybe if he was present at the twins, when the red wedding happened, and he saw Robb being paraded around in that, basically furry outfit, right? Like with the wolf's head on his body. Like Rickon, if he saw that, he might be like, oh, I kind of like that. Like if that was the case, sure. But without that visual cue, I'm not sure he's going to develop it fully. But I'm not saying it's out of the question. I understand your reasoning.
All right, we'll put him at B. And now that we're just kind of talking about Robb anyways, which order do you want to go in? And also, while we're talking about this, please comment down below. Let us know what your ranking is for each one of these as we go through here. But so Rickon is a B.
We can go, well, if you did Rickon, I guess we could go reverse order, right? Like from youngest to oldest.
Okay, yeah, so then Bran, right?
Yeah, we could do that. Sure.
All right, so Bran, what's your general, like without any explanation, you got to put a letter grade on this guy, the broken.
Bran, maybe we should include a D tier, because if so, Bran is D tier.
Just put him
He's not bottom of the barrel to me. There is a Stark that I consider worse than him, but this is my second worst Stark. I'll just say that right off the hop. This guy is my second worst Stark. I think that Jaime, one of the best things he ever did and solidified him as one of my favorite characters, is he pushed that stupid little kid out the window. Parkour has got to be one of the most cringe things ever. Why don't you go smoke a hookah with your other high school burnouts? It's unbelievable. He becomes a cripple, basically, right? And he's being escorted around hand and foot, being drugged in the back. He is completely dead weight, and he doesn't even try to lighten the mood. Like, you're being drugged back there. Maybe they're trying to have a conversation with you, and he gives you like a 2-word random little response with absolutely no energy. It's dead weight emotionally and physically. Like, what if he was like the comedic relief for the group or something like that? He's being drugged. No one's looking at him. He picks up a little stick, right? And then he, when no one's looking, shoves it right in between one of the Reed siblings' feet. You know what I mean? They fall and they smash their face in the snow. Everybody laughs. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
at least something like that.
Yeah, ideally he'd be like the David Cross character from Scary Movie 2, right?
Oh,
Comedic
dude,
relief
100%. Yeah, it's physical humor too, right? It's funny. It's slapstick. He could be the slapstick guy.
Okay, so you want to put him at a D, even though we don't have that category. We have a C, right? We're keeping the 5 category.
You could put him in. Put him in C, fine.
Okay, he's not an F, right? Yeah, I think C too, because he's going to become king. I think he has like the worst claim, and honestly, I think he's just a vessel or vassal, what do you want to call it, an avatar-like character for Bloodraven, who's just using him to gain access to the throne. Bloodraven, who's playing like the 200-year long game.
Yeah,
but also
he is.
Bran. He's not supposed to warg into humans, right? And he does the most horrific thing to Hodor by warging into him. I mean, that's probably worse than Grape. That has to be up there with like taking that's taking over someone's body, and making them do whatever they want. Also, yeah, you said his love of climbing. I don't know if he was that grotesque by the fact that there was like incest going on in that tower. I think it didn't faze him. He didn't like.
He was looking at it with there was no. There was no facial expression at all. See, that's like the furry thing with Rickon. He looked at that. He's like, oh, now this is interesting.
I wonder if Arya would be down for something like this. This looks cool. No,
that's right. John's already inside that.
Okay, and then the last thing, and this might even move me to opening up maybe whether we have a D category for this guy, but he's a cannibal. He's eaten human flesh through his direwolf, and there's even a theory possibly that Bran has eaten Jojen reed, like the whatever reed paste on it. I think they say it's weirwood paste, but it's like has this red look to it, so they think it might be, Jojen might have been using some of his.
If it's red, it must be human blood.
Yeah, I mean that's what I assume when I wake up and there's a pool of it next to me. I assume it's human blood.
Yeah, I don't think the cannibal thing's not that big a deal to me, man. Like I'd eat human flesh if I had to, and even if I didn't have to, it's like if it was convenient, right? I'd try human flesh.
Okay, yeah, our comments are gonna be filled with people that hate cannibalism, like on our Stannis video. We're defending our boy, saying like, listen, if it's me or this guy or leaving this guy, full of meat left to go bad, like I'm gonna eat him maybe.
If I'm starving and it's between death or eating a human, I'm obviously going to eat a human. Like there's no reason. And also, if I'm in a wilderness environment and I have the choice between not starving, but just kind of barely getting by with like the very scarce nutrients, and I feel like shit all the time and I'm tired and I'm worn down, my muscles are atrophying away, or eating a human just to live a little bit better, I'm also going to eat the human.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily going to murder. I'm not going to kill the human in order to eat him. But if he's dead already, it's like, yeah, I'm going to not let that thing go to waste. That's a little ridiculous.
Pretty low threshold. My criteria is if we have Mace Tyrell sitting out there eating all that shit, I can't just not eat too. That's the tempting part for me. But okay.
Well, I mean, it looks so good, right? It's like you're kind of licking your lips. He's making it tantalizing for you.
I know. Okay, let's go to Arya. So we agreed with C for Bran. Maybe a D. We'll come back to it maybe. Arya. What initial grade view here?
This is going to sound so normie, man. I might put Arya as S tier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I might put Arya as S tier.
Or just like, well, it has to be in comparison, right? We're comparing these two.
Yeah, it's always in comparison. She's not an S tier character among all of Song of Ice and Fire characters, but in terms of Starks, I would put her, I think, as S tier.
She's way better in the books than in the TV show. I don't like her arc that we get to see after her time with the Faceless Men. She is like in the TV show, it felt like she got her powers and then got to get her revenge. It should have been like a either or. It's like, do you want these awesome, cool powers, but you lose your identity? Or do you want to keep your identity, go back, and then just learn something about yourself, but not get these powers? I don't know. I felt like it was a character, maybe not regression, but it just felt cheap for her to get the powers.
Stagnation or something. Well, that's just kind of goes with it's just another drop in the bucket for the kind of storytelling in the later Game of Thrones. I'm not even really considering. I'm not considering like season 6 through 8 of this stuff. I'm not even really going by that. I'll go by a little bit of the book stuff from later on, which what little material we have past season 5. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just going the early seasons because I agree. After you get past that point with Arya, it kind of dwindles. And I hate to use the term Mary Sue, right? But it kind of gets that way a little bit. We just don't need to see her being this all-powerful being, especially when it gets into season 8. Of course, killing the Night King. It's one of the worst things ever. But I mean, dude, in the early Game of Thrones especially, I like her attitude. I think it's good. I like the Syria Farrell stuff. Even her training with the Hound when she's with Gendry, it kind of feels like she's paying her dues in order to be successful. She's kind of living in the mud, playing in the mud. Dude, and also, some of the best content from the TV show comes out of Arya, like these, which is the dialogue surrounding Tywin at Harrenhal. Like, dude, all those scenes are absolutely amazing. I mean, come on, call me Father Time because Arya is pretty advanced for her age. You know what I'm saying? I think she's a good character.
That's the only good improvement they make in the TV show with her character is the time she speaks with Tywin. But even that, she comes more off as like a smartass than a person who's just trying to get by. And I like in the books, she goes through so much more suffering in Harrenhal with the
tickler.
Well, the tickler, but they're also like there's that whole people from Bravos, that are causing so much chaos. Also, she has like some of the best companionships with, like you said, the Hound. She goes with the Brotherhood Without Banners. She gets to meet and be cool friends with Hot Pie, who might be one of the strongest characters, able to kick someone in the nuts so many times he kills somebody. Dude, we need to do a video on Hot Pie.
Hot Pie versus Craster. Like, I don't know. Those are my two picks for the throne. Like, and Hot Pie might even be the better pick. He's young. He's got so much vitality left in him.
Game of Thrones draft. Hot Pie goes number 1. Craster 2. How many people are watching that video?
That's true. Micah the Butcher's Boy 3.
But I think I agree with you in comparison. And focusing more, weighting more of her character, what we get in the books than in the TV show. Especially just like early TV show, not late ones, because she does kill the Night King, and she doesn't need to be a good fighter. She just needs to be the assassin, someone that is able to get close to you and make you pay for it, and that's what she is mostly in the books. But for some reason, late game, she needs to be able to be as good as Brienne of Tarth at the end.
Yeah, that was why they need to square off on like a regular. And she like, by the way, bodies her too. Like, Brienne has absolutely no chance. Like, okay, who couldn't Arya beat at this point with that logic? It's like, it's unreasonable, I think. But you're 100% right. The suffering she goes through in the books is way better, and that's what's so compelling about her character compared to a lot of, not only in this universe but in a lot of other things. It feels like she earns her place because she goes through so much shit, and that's just something you don't see very often. So, especially at Harrenhal, yeah, that's why I put her at S tier relative to her family. That's it.
Well, where do you put Sansa Stark relative to her family?
Oh, are we talking about? Is she the next one? Are we talking about Sansa? Dude, Sansa's my F.
Oh no,
she's my F, and not the good kind of F. Like, listen, call me Father Time again, but I like me an hourglass. You know what I'm saying? And
why is everyone calling you Father Time? I don't.
Come on, we went to high school together. Come on, tell me they didn't call me Father Time. Everybody's calling me Father Time these days, but. No, she sucks. I think she's the worst. She's really the reason why the Starks have all these bad things happen to them, man. I want to go to King's Landing and be a princess and a queen. It's like, shut the fuck up, Sansa. I hate everything that she does. Throughout the whole series, everything she does. The Hound, I like when the Hound saves her because it shows that he's a good guy. That's the worst thing ever, too, though. I wish that he let her die. I don't even care. I really don't like Sansa. And plus, there's that whole thing where maybe... What was it in the book? I don't know if it was implied that they like had sex or whatever it was, like the Hound and Sansa, right?
No, she's like sings to him. If that's the extent of them having sex, I think a lot of fans want that thing to happen. I think George
I don't want that to happen.
What the hell? What's wrong with these fans that they want these two? Hound is supposed to be this like disgusting guy, which I mean, the Hound is going on his own arc, but Sansa's arc, that's the one thing too. It's like the one arc you kind of get with her is not until she's in. The Vale with Littlefinger, you kind of get that in the books. I think it's in Feast where you kind of get her opening up and being more of kind of accepting. She's almost like she's assuming a new identity. It took her so long to kind of be like what the Arya character is, which Arya assumes so many different names from basically the time she left King's Landing to now where she's in Bravos, right? And Sansa like takes one, and this is so hard for her. She's like, oh, I have to kiss Littlefinger so many times and call him daddy. He's,
No, I know. But even that point too, it feels so painful, and it just kind of feels like she's a fixture in the room that's invincible. That's kind of what it is. It's always felt that way, of course. Like, convenient things were saving her. I understand she got abused and beaten in King's Landing at the hands of Joffrey, but nothing ended up happening to her, and everything... She just seems ungrateful to it as well. Like, she's finally in the Vale with Littlefinger, and it's not like she's enjoying it. It doesn't seem like she's seeing the glass half full. And I'm talking about the book version. She's definitely it's an improvement to King's Landing. I'm sure she's grateful to that to an extent, and she's playing along and stuff. But I really don't think that she's appreciative of it. Not that she needs to be appreciative of being a hostage. That's not what I'm saying. And she kind of is still a hostage in the situation. But it's just like, for example, okay, when she married Tyrion, right?
Yeah.
She wouldn't even consummate the marriage for Tyrion.
I
know, Tyrion. You don't have to do it, darling. You don't have to.
Even
she
worse.
Should say, I insist. I insist because you're the only person who's not treating me like absolute shit. And this is medieval times. I do what you got to do.
I think even worse than that, Sansa didn't even kneel for Tyrion when she's like putting like the cape on. He like tried to make her. She tried to make Tyrion like stand up tall and put his like cloak of protection over her during the marriage ceremony in the books. It was like
read the room,
she's
Sansa.
Yeah, no. But okay, the worst part of Sansa, right? And you're a dog lover. I'm a dog lover. You're like a dog. I don't know, something beyond.
Don't
lover.
say it.
She basically allows her dog or direwolf to die for Joffrey. Or even, she would have allowed Arya's, Nymeria, to die. But instead, because they didn't have it, Cersei's like, oh yeah, kill, is it Lady? I think the direwolf's name is?
It's Lady. Yeah, but that's like entitlement. It's not even that. Like it's like a selfish thing, right? Because she clearly sees Lady as her dog. It's like her property. And Nymeria, even though it's in the family, it's a family dog. She's completely okay with this thing dying. She almost has like a little smirk on her face too, like, stupid little Arya, I'm glad your dog's dead. But then as soon as Lady happens, she throws a little fit about it. And she does realize it's her fault. I don't know, not Lady. She's mine. It's like, you think this dog's an object, don't you? Yeah, that pisses me off too. I don't think that's actually the worst thing about Arya. That's like the second worst thing. Sansa. The worst thing about Sansa is that she dips out at the absolute worst possible time on Tyrion when he's falsely accused of killing Joffrey, the one guy who was like a saint to you. And it's like, he's also in a really horrible position to start with because he's the dwarf son of Tywin, right? You know what his status is, but he does have this elevated status a little bit because he is who he is. He's in the Lannister family, but he's hanging on a thread, and she has to know he's hanging on a thread. And so Joffrey dies, and it's a big conspiracy. Tyrion gets blamed, and then she determines that's a great time to slip out and feign no support. She could have been like a character witness for him. I understand Cersei hates Sansa at this point and totally has abandoned her in favor of Marjorie, but it doesn't matter. Like, the integrity is just not there, and it's not like her character was a better use somewhere else. At least not yet. We'll see what happens in Winds of Winter, but still.
Listen, I don't want to spend that much time on Sansa, but I totally understand she needs a dip from Tyrion. Her family just died because basically the Lannisters broke the guest right. They're behind the Freys doing that whole thing at the Red Wedding. All of her family's dead, and then you marry instead of like a knight. You thought you were gonna get Joffrey, and Joffrey in the books is way more attractive than he is in the TV show. And now you're getting like this imp with a missing nose and is like disgusting and it waddles around everywhere. I don't know. I get it, Sansa, but
speaking
guess
my
what?
language.
Oh yeah, listen, you need to take a break real quick.
Getting me going. It's like Rickon looking at a wolf head.
Okay, well I think Robb was consummated before Jon, but we don't know truly Jon's consummation. So for all we know, Jon is the son of Ned Stark and not, R plus L equals J. So let's just go with Jon first. What would you give him, just straight out the gate, rating for Jon?
Jon, this sounds like a kind of normie pick too. I don't think he's S tier, but I do think that he's probably A tier. Jon Snow is, if you consider him a Stark, and I like to consider him a Stark. Call me contrarian or whatever, but I actually do like the idea better that he's Ned and Ashara Dane's son. I know you don't. I know you don't like that, but it just seems so choreographed now, and I have such a bad taste in my mouth from Game of Thrones of him being R+. I like the Ashara Dane thing too. It just gives him some legitimacy, and I'm not one of these people that likes the idea of Daenerys and Jon Snow like ruling the Seven Kingdoms together, but I would not mind at all if Jon Snow ends up being like the steward of Winterfell, or the Lord of Winterfell. I think that'd be totally fine. Or, dude, God forbid, they just leave him dead. Like, that would be the craziest thing. And if that was the case, it really doesn't matter who his parents are. And if that does happen, by the way, if they leave him dead, I'll be pissed if he is not just straight up the son of Ned Stark and Ashara Dane. I think that would be a great thing, because it would show some character flaw in Ned too. But okay, whatever. I'm going way off topic. But I would consider Jon to be A tier, just because he's a good guy. He's got good integrity. I think his story Beyond the Wall is pretty interesting. It's not the political intrigue that I really like this series for. But as far as the whole mystical element goes, I think he brings the most interesting parts of it. Like, I think he's more interesting than the Daenerys stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Both their chapters can be boring at times. Jon early on, but later on when Jon's beyond the wall and he's dealing with the wildlings, he's seen the whites, he's now the Lord Commander. It's way more interesting, and he's dealing with interesting characters too. Like Stannis is up there, Davos, Melisandre. Yeah, I think Jon is more interesting than Dany. I agree with that. Okay, he simps for a wildling. I understand he needed to fit in, but he didn't need to have sex up there, right? He broke his vows. He's also kind of a traitor, if you think about it. And I'm kind of on team, whatever you want to call, opposite faction for stabbing Jon in the back. It's like, dude, you had one vow. It's like, protect them from like the wildling, or protect the wall, or protect Westeros from the wildlings. And you're going to break that vow, but you don't want to break your vow when it's like Stannis gives you the chance to, I don't know, be the Lord of Winterfell. I don't know. Like, Jon, I think his logic is generally consistent, but I just think like, yeah, that's why I'm not S. Okay, I think I agree with A. I think he's an A. One last thing in the books they don't have in the TV show. I think he's closeted gay. Him and Satin, the guy from Old Town. Yeah, and it's not that he's gay that I put him lower. It's that he's closeted about it. Let your freak flag fly there at the wall, dude.
Right, just like we do. I agree with you that he has some flaws or whatever, but I don't think it's as bad as you're making it seem. First of all, it's up in the air. For me, it's up in the air whether or not he's allowed to have sex as a member of the Night's Watch. He's not allowed to take any wives or father any kids. And I know we've talked about before, these Westerosi men have leaky faucets, right? Like if it penetrates, it's going to conceive a kid. And I don't know why that is, but it seems that way. But I still, though, I don't know if I am fully bought into the idea that no one at the Night's Watch can have sex straight up. I know they can't have any kids. I know they can't have any wives. The Kingsguard, however, definitely, like that's a part of their thing. They are celibate. They're strictly celibate. So I just don't think the Kingsguard and the Night's Watch are exactly parallel there. And then as far as the Wildling thing goes, it's true, dude, he did simp for a Wildling for a while. But what happened when push came to shove and the conflict came? Dude, Jon Snow was fully on team,
true,
Castle Black.
Right.
Like he was fully there, and I don't think he deserved to die for that. He was a pretty effective leader. They won. I think I don't think so. I don't think he deserves to be. But you're right. For these flaws, these tiny little flaws he has, and kind of the fact he's a Gary Stu a little bit, that's why he's not S. I think he's A tier.
Well, yeah, he comes across sometimes as a Gary Stu, but he's not the best fighter, right?
No, and he also just the fact he has no flaws rather than being like the top dog. But yeah.
But would you call him a Gary Stu if he is given basically his dream on a platter and it's ripped away from him by his friends by saying like, you can be Jon Stark. Stannis is literally about to give it to him, and Jon's about to accept it. And they're like, no, actually got elected as Lord Commander. And it's like, fuck. Like, no. But Jon's like, I'm duty bound. I got to do this. I got to do this for the fellas. So, I mean, at that point, he's not a Gary Stu, though.
I could see an argument for that being Gary Stu because, like, of course, he's just so perfect. He has the perfect moral integrity. I'm not saying he is for sure. I'm just saying it comes off that way sometimes. So I hear that complaint. Is all I'm saying.
Okay.
But he's an A. I don't think he's a bad character whatsoever. I think he's another one where I think he's more interesting in the book.
Okay, what do you think about Robb? We don't get any POVs of Robb, so he's kind of a character we see through mostly Catelyn's eyes.
Yeah, guess what? We don't need any POVs of Robb to know that he's a dirty simp. He's my B. He's my B.
B? Okay. All right.
I think he's my B because he really only has that one flaw, kind of. Like, he's a master strategist. Overall, makes very good decisions. Kind of a mama's boy, but he tries to do right by his family. The only thing, dude, the critical error, whether you want to call her Jane Westerling or whatever she was on the show, that girl from, was it Lys she was from, or maybe Volantis?
Yeah, somewhere across.
Yeah, whatever. Jane
City,
Westerling, I'll call her, right? That's the book girl. But he valued marrying her over the entire integrity of, like, his house, his honor, the war. It's just not good. It's like one of the biggest flubs in the whole thing. So he's got to be a B for me.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's able to be such a great general on the battlefield, but within his like war council, he's just not able to keep it together. You know, like the Card Starks are going after, want to kill the Lannisters, and Catelyn allows Jaime to go free. And it's like, what the hell is going on back here? It's like, he's like trying to drive the car, and the kids in the back are like arguing. He's like, shut the fuck up! I'm trying to focus.
That's right. Oh, and also too, I do sympathize with him a little bit because I simp with him because Catelyn is breathing down his neck all the time, bitch supreme. I don't know if are we gonna include her on this list later on?
Yeah, we might as well. We can. Put her in
we'll do it at the end or whatever. But yeah, so spoiler alert, she's lower than Robb, but she's the worst. She's the worst. I really don't like anything she does. And he does respect her opinions a lot of the time. Maybe he's just trying to feign respect for her. Mm-hmm. But one of the only times that she spoke reason was basically opposing Robb's simpage or whatever, and then he defied that. So maybe it's not as bad. Whatever. Robb's a B. Robb's a B.
I think Robb is a B. I'm almost leaning towards C, but I don't think he has enough negative things towards him. A couple negatives I'm thinking about is it might have been his dying wish to the phrase like, please just put the wolf's head on my head. Let me die with some dignity. Let me die my true state as a furry.
Consider it done, boy. It's like, okay. Thanks, Walder.
The other thing is like he sent Theon to the Iron Islands. Like, bad choice, my guy. Not a good look. Like,
yeah, but who would have known? It's a bad. Has he ever met Balon Greyjoy before? Like, how could you ever know how big of a piece of shit this guy is? No one would ever know. If you told someone how big of a piece of shit this guy is and how nasty his daughter is, no one would ever believe it. You'd have to see it to believe it. I don't consider Robb bad because he didn't know the thing that no one could ever possibly know without some kind of a superpower. Like maybe Bran knows because he could warg over there, and even him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true. Maybe that's more on Catelyn. She should have known a little bit more of the Ironborn culture before she sent Theon over there. Knowing Theon, too, is a little stinker bingus himself. The other negative thing, we said, Jane Westerling, him simping for her, marrying her, not just keeping her as like a concubine or whatever sort of thing he could have done. Especially because it's like she's basically a vassal family to the Lannisters. So for him to like...
I'm Jane Westerling from the Westerlands.
For her to lose her dignity is not that big of a deal. It's not like one of his vassal houses, like a Bolton or a Card Stark, But the one thing, too, about this whole thing with him, breaking his vows to the phrase, is he does it when, after Robb hears that his brothers are dead, then he's like, oh, I think I'm horny.
That sounds like someone we know.
It's sus. It's sus.
I know.
Mom, I broke my vows because I heard our brothers were dead, and I just had to have sex.
Oh, Robb. It's so bad. Yeah, you're right.
But I don't put him as a C for that.
No, he's not a C for that. I mean, a lot of shit did happen to him,
True. I mean, he might have a built-up animosity and tension. So, let's. So we're getting to the adults here. Benjen Stark, real quick here. We don't see a lot of them. I don't know where. I'm trying to think of where I kind of put him. We only see like a little bit of him, and in the show we see him at the end as Cold Hands, which is like the dumbest cameo of all time. Did not even need this. Like, oh, Benjen, you're here this whole time. If anything, I'm more pissed at Benjen.
Ignore it. Ignore that. Yeah, ignore that. I am tempted to put Benjen as an S tier. I'm tempted to put Benjen as an S tier.
Come on, dude.
I'm tempted. I love Benjen, man. And it's in kind of the same reasoning as Rickon a little bit. What does he do that's bad? What is the negative trait about him?
Oh, he doesn't warn Jon it's like a really shitty place up there. He's like, you always have a place up here at the wall. Yeah. In hell.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a cold hell. The whites are trying to rise again beyond the wall. But I agree with that. But again, it's kind of more on Ned. Like if I am trying to imagine my brother having a kid, and my brother's kid is clearly kind of being steered in a direction that I don't necessarily agree with, but at the same time, the kid's kind of like, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a noble kid, and he wants to do the job that I've been doing my whole life and succeeding at. So it would probably make me feel good a little bit, and like I can look forward to being a mentor to this kid. To me, that's more of a shitster thing on Ned. Benjen's not innocent in the situation because, again, if I was, I'd probably take him aside, like, hey, psst, this place fucking sucks. I just want to let you know it fucking sucks. Don't listen to your dad. It fucking sucks. But
so you put him an S for this, though?
Well, I think besides that, what has he ever done that's wrong? He just seems like a good dude, a noble dude. He's not we'll get into the Ned stuff soon, but
yeah,
I don't think, yeah.
I'm more sus about Benjen, like, for his positive attributes. Like, he's all positive because, like, but this is what after Ned comes back from Robert's Rebellion and Robb is born, right? So Ned has his heir, and he doesn't have a spare yet. He doesn't have Bran. He just has Jon around, which is a bastard, and I don't think he's going to get him legitimized by any means. Benjen just leaves at that point. Like, dude, you can't leave. You could be the heir if something happened to Robb, Catelyn, and Ned. But he just leaves and goes to the wall. I'm wondering, like, why he left that early. There's something going on. I'm not sure what it is with Benjen and Ned. Maybe he told him about the whole Jon thing, and he's like, leave Jon here with this crazy bitch you just married? No way, I'm not going to be around here for this. He's like, where are you going to go? He's like, I'll fucking go to the wall. And he called him on his bluff. But then again, maybe that's a good thing for Benjen. No, I'm just talking myself into it. What do we put in Benjen at? We can't put him at S. A?
Okay,
he's just
fine. I'm fine. I'm fine with A. I'm fine with A. Yeah, but you're right though. See, that's the thing. It's like, would you want to stay there with Catelyn Stark? Do you want to live in the same walls as her? Are you serious? And plus, like, Jon Snow, this kid who you probably like, you're just the second son. Like, you have, or at this point, you're the second son, right? The third son, really. But you're the second son, effectively. You have no dominion over this kid. It's like, it's not like you can tell your brother, like, hey, you got to get your fucking wife in check because this kid is suffering. You're probably just going to try to distance yourself from the situation, hope it turns out okay. And meanwhile, he's kind of a Chad up there. He's doing Chadly missions all the time.
That's true. He's like first ranger, so he's not like a slub up there, just like,
no,
I just go
dude,
to Mole's town all the
A-list.
time. I got all this. I got like syphilis 3 times. Like,
yeah, the oath never said you couldn't fuck. Okay, it was implied, Benjen.
And again, A compared to the other ones here, right? I agree with that.
It's
when
not
I hear
in a vacuum.
A, I want to think of it really high. But okay, so then who do you want to go next? Catelyn, do you think next, or Ned? Who do you want to go with?
We can go Catelyn, I think, just because, yeah. I mean, this is an easy one for me. I don't think It's hard for me to even
at
say.
F. I want to put her
I
at F,
want to
but
put her at
can't.
F too. Not that bad.
I think it's D though. Like, there's some redeeming qualities of her because she's such a loving mother, but her love for her children is just unbearable and it ruins everything.
It's also so unevenly distributed. It's like this falls on Ned though too. See, a lot of her traits. We're gonna go into this. A lot of her traits, I think, are Ned's fault, but at the core of it, she is a true bitch. And by the way, the whole Lady Stoneheart thing, in the books, that's a huge change they made to the show for the better, I think. When Catelyn's dead, I want her to stay dead. It's kind of the same thing as Benjen coming back at the end as like this half-white thing, like swinging around, looks like an oil lantern. It's like, nice weapon, man. It sucks. And Catelyn's the same way as Lady Stoneheart. I'm just not a fan of that concept. I don't think it's needed. I think it really abandons the ambiguous magic nature of A Song of Ice and Fire. I really like when it's more ambiguous. Like the shadows that kill Renly. I always bring that up in videos. But the shadows that kill Renly and whatever else.
Yeah.
It's not explicitly stated that it is like super it is magical because it's Melisandre, but it's not so overt like we see in the show. Like, oh my god, it's literally a demon figure. That went in the middle of the night and killed this thing. It's just, I don't know. I think Lady Stoneheart's dumb.
So you're saying there's like left some room for interpretation that like a black guy in a cloak came in there and killed Renly? Is that what you're saying?
Well, maybe he would. I saw Stannis kill him. For some reason, he had the shiniest, whitest teeth I've ever seen and giant pink lips that surrounded his entire mouth.
Do you remember Corlys Valerian? Looked just like that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Catelyn, her chapters I'm not a big fan of her in the chapters. The people around her are more interesting, generally, than her. When she interacts with Stannis, Renly, Brienne, even Jaime,
even Robb.
Robb, right? Yeah. So she's like the backseat in her own chapters. I think the best part with her in the books is when she's like mourning for Ned. It's very like kind of like, oh, she's like thinking of her husband. She's like, he's in this box right here. I go, oh, are you shitting me? Like my husband's right here. It's like, oh my, that's.
Yeah, it feels real.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. But then at the same time, you hear about her like negotiations with like the Freys for the marriage pact. It's like Robb is gonna marry a Frey, and I think Arya does too. Like that's the negotiations. Like, dude, how do you not have control of these little stinkers here at the Twins? They're supposed to be sworn fealty to your father, and you have to like sell the farm to get across this bridge. I don't know. I think she's stupid, but Walder definitely won on that trade of it, right?
Yeah, he definitely won. And I think the negotiation tactics, I don't think they're the worst thing ever, but I think just the methods that she went. I mean, even when she was trying to go talk to Renly and Stannis, I just feel like there are more concessions that she could have made on her part to like maybe sell it a little bit better. I also think that she picked the wrong side with Renly. There's a lot of times I think she messed up, and we're Stannis stands, right? Stannis is.
So is it D or D?
If you want to include this magical D tier, yeah, do that.
Oh, not D. Sorry, what am I saying? D. So it'd be C then, huh?
Well, I don't know if we decided earlier that we were going to put a D tier in. Well, we're going to do this We're going to do this afterward. There's no visuals when we're recording this, but yeah,
I don't know. I almost want to put her in F now, just because like I was so stingy about putting, Rickon in an F, but then we didn't put him in that. We have Bran at a C. I think we got to put Catelyn as an F. I hate her.
I mean, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I do too, but on the same tier. Yeah, it's fine. Wait, did we end up putting Sansa in an F? What happened there? Did you even give me
Sansa is an F.
Ratings?
Yeah, so maybe we should put her at a C. Maybe we just put her at a C because she can't be down there with Sansa. Sansa is...
I was going to say, she is the worst.
Okay, fine. She's C. Okay. So let's... I think next one up here, let's go Ned.
Big boy. The big boy.
Yeah.
Ned himself.
Let me have it. You've been edging me about your arguments with Ned. Would you put him as a grading, or do you want to give your justification first and kind of work your way into the justification for the rating?
Okay, well, first of all, the Catelyn thing, her being a bitch to Jon Snow, I think, is a big part of the reason why a lot of these people don't like her, and myself included, right? You just look at that, and you think it's so unreasonable that Jon Snow cannot be in the same room as a dying Bran. Yeah. This kid is like in a coma, and this is his little brother, and you're not going to allow him to be in there. It's totally unreasonable. And Ned just kind of looks at this kind of attitude that she's had for how long? 14 years, I think, at this point, right? He's supposed to be 14. Yeah. He just kind of looks the other way like, it's what must be done. It's like, no, it's not what must be done. Why didn't you just tell, assuming that it's the conspiracy theory, right, of Rhaegar and Lyanna's kid?
Yeah.
Tell your wife that, dude. Tell your wife that. How hard is it? How untrustworthy is Catelyn that you can't trust your own wife of decades with this information?
After a while.
Yes, it's crazy. That's just to me that's more evidence that this kid, that Jon Snow is actually Ned Stark's bastard. But I don't know. That's beside the point. Plus, like we mentioned earlier, Ned for some reason failed to tell Jon anything about the Wall. Tells him, hey, you should probably go do this. It's like the greatest thing ever. It's just going to be nonstop partying with the boys. It's going to be a little bit chilly, but it's Winterfell. You're used to that already, right?
Yeah.
It's totally unreasonable. And the honor boundness too of this. He's way too obsessed with honor. You jump in whatever you want here. I'll go. But
no, I know. Just let me know when you wrap this thing up.
You know how it is. He's honor bound as shit. It's like Jaime kills the Mad King.
Okay, this is the
and Ned goes over to him. Are you kidding? Hey, Kingslayer, you have no honor. It's like, okay, I guess I won't avenge your brother and father's absolutely brutal, horrific murders anymore.
Yeah, that's like, oh, I'm not happy at all that you killed the man that killed my father and brother. I'm more mad about you, Kingslayer. Yeah, that's really cringe. Also, he didn't do any sort of investigation on what happened there at all, because like Jaime said he killed him, but he's like, why'd you kill him? Did Jaime just like shrug his shoulders like, or like did Ned not even ask? He just like looked at him. He's like, I'm so disappointed with you, young man. I'm just so disappointed with you. But okay, I want to say some positives about Ned, right? He's boys with our one of our favorite characters, Bobby B. That has to give you some points, right? He's so close friends with Bobby B that Bobby B falls in love with a woman that basically looks like Ned, right? There's nothing to really love about Lyanna, and we'll talk about her in a second. But Robert basically falls in love and says, I want her so badly because she's basically Ned with a bussy. She's
Bussy Ned.
Bussy. Please give it to me, please. So, I mean, that has to be a good thing on Ned, right? That's a positive. So, he's not an F. I don't think he's a D. I think he's like right, or not D. I keep on saying D. C. I think he's a B. He does some really shitty things. Like you said, the lie. Can't even trust his wife, right, at any point. Which, come on, you gotta like at least get a better lie, so that way you can like let Jon have a reasonable existence and not have like a mother figure that basically haunts him to this very day in the books, right? And also I'm maybe this is a negative. I think Ned kind of likes the executing of the people. He's like, oh, the man that what's the line? The man that
swings the sword. Yeah, the man delivers a sentence must swing the sword, right?
Right, that's the exact one. Yeah, so when he says that, I think it's just like, I want to do it. What's a good excuse for me to do it?
That's true. All the Starks previous. No. I don't know if it's a stretch, evidenced by the fact that he makes all of his kids watch. Like we know from like the history books of Westeros, Dance of Dragons or not Dance of Dragons, Fire and Blood, and then A World of Ice and Fire. We know from both of those Starks of history, they've kind of had this motto throughout time, but we don't know of any who made their kids watch, like with snacks and everything else. Like, hey guys, check this out. You're in for a real treat. It's like, Dad, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's okay, but it's not that fun. It's like, why? You kidding me? It's great. Ned's way too into it.
Yeah, his parenting skills are very sus. He lets his kids adopt dire wolves. They're basically wolves. They're wild animals.
Well, I wouldn't be too upset if I got to adopt a direwolf. But yeah, he's just asking himself for trouble. And sure enough, later on, what happens? It ends up being the source of conflict. Not necessarily because of the reasons you just said, but it still ends up as a problem down the road.
I just think his judgment is clouded, and that's why I'm kind of putting him right in the middle. I don't know if I put him lower just because I don't think he's on the same level as Catelyn. Because Catelyn, another negative towards her, she trusts Littlefinger. She takes Tyrion hostage. These judgment calls really hurt Ned, and Ned was kind of like trusting his wife, which might be another judgment call on Ned's part, I guess, for him trusting his wife to make these decisions and trust her in these points in his life. But who trusts Hodor around the kids? That's not a good judgment call, right? Like a mentally
Huge
disabled giant. Like
hung like a horse too.
Yeah, hung like a horse. You're basically begging
if
for...
Brandon get paralyzed, if Brandon get paralyzed from the fall,
you don't even say it.
It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. But no, dude, yeah. Are you kidding me? It's one thing if there's like a friendly, mentally challenged. I'm sure we've all met somebody like that, dude. When I was growing up, and you and me, we lived in the same neighborhood growing up, there were those mentally challenged brothers who would walk dogs, right? And they worked at the grocery store. Right. And they were nice people, but they're not superhumans. They're not half giants that could snap me like a twig whenever they want to. Snap me like a number 2 pencil over their, knuckle. It's like, it's a horrible parenting skills. And it's not like he just is around in social events or whatever. The kids get to go visit him when they're having a feast. It's like, no, this guy is actually just hanging out one-on-one with Bran sometimes. Maybe Bran and Rickon. He's going to clank their heads together like...
So where were we putting that? B or C here? I'm like, I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
put him
up
at
to your
C.
discretion, man. When I first started this, I was gonna say C, but did we put Catelyn at C? It's kind of hard
Catelyn's
to
at
swallow.
C.
Catelyn being
Catelyn's
in the
at
same
C.
tier as Ned.
That's almost why we want to put this D category in here.
Man, we might have to do a little rearranging. Okay, let's do Lyanna, and then we'll do a final rearrange.
Well, we have Lyanna, and I want to do Brandon. And
from right the.
We'll do those rapid fire because they don't get that much. But Lyanna, where are we putting her in comparison to all these other Starks?
What, do you have a rating off the top of your head?
Rating off the
I
top
can
of my
give
head?
reasoning, but I don't have a rating.
For me, C. I don't care like the little antics she might have gone up to, like trying to help out Howland Reed at Harrenhal, dressing up as like a knight. That's still unconfirmed whether or not she did that or not. Her justification for not liking Robert is that he might be unfaithful to me and have bastard children. And then, so she's so turned off by Robert and then goes in simps for the prince.
I know. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Robert has a bastard. Like one bastard at this point. It's like, yeah, maybe he's a bit of a ladies' man. He's like an alcoholic and stuff like that. When has he shown himself to be unfaithful?
To a committed relationship, right, yeah.
To a committed relationship, right. Or even just unfaithful in general, really. He seems like a really honorable dude. And honestly, he treats Lyanna great, like he simps for and everything else. Whether or not he would be effective in a relationship is kind of beside the point because we never got to see that happen. But yeah, Rhaegar, your side piece, is actively married to, I can't remember her first name, Martell, from Dorne. And they have children together. Like, how could you possibly see him as the loyal version? Is it just because he's capable of being in a marriage for a long time? Because I don't see any evidence that Robert couldn't do it.
Yeah,
plays with my boy's heart. That's really what it comes down to. She plays with my boy's heart. And
it's not even that she ran away with some other high lord. Like if she ran away with Jaime, just hypothetical, she runs away with Jaime. These two houses now have to be like, what the fuck? Like, my heir and one of your daughters ran away with each other, even though he's betrothed to Robert. There's going to be some, like, inter-family conflict. No, you're running away with the prince, who's married already. And you don't understand the consequences that's going to have, and she just doesn't care. She just, he gave me these, she called me the queen of love and beauty.
Yeah, the bottom line is we don't know that much about Lyanna, but what we do know is only negative, and that's the part that sucks about it. I guess there is a chance. There's a distant chance that Lyanna was actually kidnapped by Rhaegar Targaryen, I guess. Yeah. There's a chance, and that she never did anything wrong. And if that's the case, I'll rethink the ranking.
Okay, we'll come back. Yeah, we'll come back and redo
otherwise. Yeah. But if that's not the case, she sucks quite a bit, man. I think she's lower than Ned. For sure. I'm not sure maybe she's on Catelyn's level, I guess. I mean, all we know about her is that she's negative. She plays with our boy. Maybe she might even be F, in my opinion. She might even be F.
Okay,
if we're assuming.
We're putting her at F because her selfish action, which before, the whole reason why she didn't want to be with Robert is because Robert's being selfish, having these bastards. She ends up being, having more consequences to the realm by her being selfish. So I think she goes F. And let's go last one. Let's put them kind of both together here. Rickon and Brandon, Ned's brother and father.
R&B.
R&B going down to King's Landing. Now, what we know about Brandon is like a Giga Chad compared to Ned. Makes Ned look like an idiot. Brandon's the confident guy. I wonder, let us know if you want us to do a what if. If you're this far in, you're the true fans here. So let's just tell our true fans everything we actually really believe. But we actually want to hear from you guys, too, people that are listening this far in. Like a what if Ned was the one that went down to King's Landing with his father, right? And then Brandon stayed up there. Like, how would that change the dynamics of the war? Like Brandon's the one that lived.
If you just had a chat, instead of Ned. So you're saying if Ned was the one that died with the father instead,
and
dude.
then
I mean,
dude,
they definitely still would have won. Like, there's no doubt about that. It's just it all comes down to these little things, like when he saw the Mad King stabbed by Jaime. Like, maybe he'd go up to him and you'd think that he's about to, just talk down on Jaime, but then he fucking, like, gives him a bro handshake. He'd be like, dude, you did the right fucking thing. And then Lannisters and Starks run into the sunset together, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's that would be amazing. Because the true Chad move would be to appreciate that. Like, understand that it was a breach of honor or whatever, but you got to break the rules for the greater good sometimes.
Yeah, the Starks are doing our Lannister boy Jaime really, really dirty in the retelling of events. Jaime, he did something bad, but like pretend like this. We said it before on our Daemon versus Jaime video, which if you haven't watched, you should go watch it. The Jaime Kingslayer name that everyone uses as a negative thing. He killed the Mad King, okay? The Mad King, not like the Jaehaerys, the Just, or the Conciliator, the most...
Oh, dude, the old king. Yeah, you killed Jaehaerys, you're a real dick.
Right.
But you killed the Mad King. It's like, oh, dude, you're a kingslayer? Are you serious? Like, which king did you kill? He's like, oh, the Mad King. I'm like, oh, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
I think that should be the reaction. Yeah,
So where'd you put it, Brandon, here? Is he...
I mean, based purely on speculation, I guess I'd put him in, like, maybe A tier, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I can't say S, but I think I'd put him in A tier. He just seems like a better version of Ned. And again, I don't know that, but I can only assume he wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah, they call Ned the Silent Wolf, and the only reason why he's silent is because Brandon's like taking up all the spotlight. He's literally the Chad. Dude. Catelyn looks at Brandon. She's like literally creating a slip and slide every time she sits down and thinks about Brandon compared to Ned. When she saw Ned, she's like, oh, yikes.
It's like, he's okay.
Yeah, I know. Compared to Brandon. Brandon's but now I'm thinking about it a little bit here. Why would Brandon go down to King's Landing? I really don't understand. Like, maybe he sent just Rickard. Why did he go down there? He should have sent Ned down there. That's kind of a dumb move by Brandon, right? What do you think he was
about
gonna
it like this? I'll tell you. Think about it in real life. If you know this is kind of like it's a sketchy situation. You're and my dad's, right? Like both of our fathers are getting like late 50s, even 60s, right? That's how old our dads are getting right now.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. We're kind of watching our dads atrophy and like becoming old men, right? It's sad to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not letting my dad go alone down to like hostile territory with my enemies, especially when I'm a Chad who can like, true. Probably take several Kingsguard at once potentially. Again, speculation. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to send my dad down there. If it sucks that I die with him, but I got to protect my family, man. I got to protect him. I'm not going to trust my little brother to do it. The Silent Wolf. It's like, what are you going to do, you little bitch?
Well, true. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to pipe up when the Mad King's like shouting at him. But like, again, maybe you should just like tell your father, Rickard, like, hey, dude, Daddy Stark here. You're not going to get anything from this guy. He's literally the Mad King. He's insane. What do you think is going to come from this? That maybe they should have, or maybe they're just so far north they really have no idea. How bad the Mad King is, and as soon as they get in there, like, what's that smell? Oh, look at his nails. Maybe we should turn. And Rickard's like, I didn't come all the way down here just to turn around. Like, oh shit. I would love to see actually what happened in that scene if George R. R. Martin.
They just look at each other. Uh-oh. With them door shut behind them.
Is it getting hot in here? Or?
Yeah, they're pulling at their collars.
So where do we put him at? A? Or we just B?
I'd still put him at A. Like I'm giving him a lot of benefit of the doubt here because it's true, man. Like if I'm putting myself in those shoes, I'm not letting my elderly father go down there.
Yeah. Okay. So Brandon, I put it A. But knowing that Rickard is the father of Lyanna, and Ned, Benjen's questionable. I'm kind of wondering about his parenting practices too. So maybe he should go to B.
And also, like you just said, like if we're not giving him the super benefit of the doubt here, and he kind of knows the Mad King is a little bit messed up, a little bit messed up in the head. I think it was a very poor decision for him to go down there at all. And then even if he was just planning on going down by himself, the minute that his heir and like most powerful and Chadley and beautiful and gorgeous low dropping son said like, "Hey, Dad, I insist on going with you." He should have been like, "Oh, right, fine, we'll stay in Winterfell." Like that should have been how it went.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. So I am not that fond of Rickard, I guess.
So put him at B, but he doesn't have enough negatives to put him in a C, right? That lower two.
No, yeah, it's all speculation. We're just kind of going by logic. So yeah, B.
I think officially we might just pivot into being a Brandon Stark simp channel.
It's going to be a Brandon Stark simp channel, and then we'll also spin off into fan fictions of how amazing Jaime and his relationship are, and they become best friends, and they hang out in Lannisport all the time, and Winterfell.
Maybe fall in love. I don't know. Maybe. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and smash that like button.
Or not. We don't care.